You have kids that become a second parent to their siblings simply because their mom, dad kept having kids and they can't take care of all their kids. So they turn one of their kids, usually the oldest, into a second parent and they strip them away of their childhood. What it do, people? Me and my big forehead is back, and today I'll be discussing why so many people in my generation don't want kids and why older generations seem to take issue with us not wanting to have kids. The purpose of this video is for me to I did my research in doing this for myself and then for this video, but I wanted to understand why so many people who express hey, child rearing is not a part of my life goals, I don't want to do it, why do we get so much pushback? And I also wanted to just show that it's not bad, or you're not normal unnormal for not wanting kids. I don't want kids for various reasons. It's just your choice, and I don't think that you should change it based off of other people's opinions, me personally. So I'm gonna go into showing you the inspiration video. It's a TikTok, so we're gonna watch it really quickly and then I'm gonna go into my first point. Okay,
I post about how I don't want children for varying reasons. It's always some weak-willed.
You know what I found out? Most people don't have kids. Let me rephrase that. I'm only around black people. I can't speak for white people. I know way too many black women who do not choose to have children. I'm going to explain this. If you have conversations with people, they will talk about how they got pregnant, but it wasn't a planned pregnancy. It wasn't something that they discussed with their partner. It wasn't something that they looked at the options financially, spiritually, emotionally, physically, if it was something that they wanted to do. It's usually somewhere in the lane of, something happened one night and they ended up pregnant. And it shows up in how people raise children, because in a lot of black families, you will see people raising children as if these children are obligated to them, because they don't really feel like they chose to be a parent. They feel like they got stuck being a parent. That's what it is.
So that video was a great segue into my first point, which is I feel like my generation takes having kids more seriously, which I feel like everybody should take this more seriously. I personally do not like how relaxed people are when it comes to bringing a kid into this world. And like she said, once again, black community, if you're white watching this, of course you can still watch. I'm pretty sure you know other people who've gotten pregnant and it wasn't planned, but I don't want to speak about stuff that I don't really know about, if that makes sense. But I know several people who got pregnant, you know what I mean? I won't say accidentally. I hate when people say that. You did stuff to get pregnant, but it wasn't a planned pregnancy. It wasn't an accident, but it wasn't planned. So yeah, and then you bring kids in this world and you're mad, this, and the third, and because whatever reason, Bible thumping, or your family may have looked down on you if you were to get an abortion, you just chose not to get an abortion, or you and your husband or father of your child chose not to get an abortion. So now you're here with a kid that you're not prepared for. And it's so ironic to me, because those same people will browbeat you into having a kid, or if you say that you don't want a kid, they'll you're gonna like your kid, da 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 da. And it's just I personally seen people struggle, cry, just be lonely, resent their kids because they didn't plan for them. They, at that moment in their life, they weren't ready for kids. So why would you browbeat me into having kids? And it seems like you're not really enjoying your experience at all. So my generation knows, either through personal experience or research, how stressful, toxic, and depressing it can be to be brought into this world by people who are not mentally, emotionally, or financially prepared to have you. You have kids who are hungry. You have kids who turn to the streets because they don't have much guidance at home. You have kids who are overexposed to adult-like activities for various reasons and are either forced to mature faster or are scarred for the rest of their life because they experienced something too young, and just experienced something they was never supposed to experience because of the people around them. You have kids that become a second parent to their siblings simply because their mom, dad kept having kids and they can't take care of all their kids. So they turn one of their kids, usually the oldest, into a second parent, and they strip them away of their childhood from doing that. And they either wants to get mature quicker, or they like resent their siblings because it's just like, dog, I had to take care of you. Or they resent their parents because it's like, dog, like I had to take care of your kids. A lot of times I see kids being a mental, emotional, and sometimes physical punching bag for their parents because they haven't figured out how to cope with their depression, their anxiety, their life issues, so they take it out on their kids. And let's say a kid is being a kid one day, you know, I don't know, teenage, arguing back. Instead of a reasonable reaction, you go overboard because you don't know how to talk to somebody. A lot of people, my parents, they don't know how to talk to people. You don't know how to calm down a situation. Conflict resolution was never taught to you. You don't know any of these things, yet you're bringing life into the world. This is why I feel like people need to go to therapy, make sure they're good, assess themselves, like really do an introspective look into yourself, into your partner before you have kids. You need to look up how much it costs to have a kid. You know, I hate the big disparities among kids' experiences because their parents were not financially prepared to have them. It disheartens me. It really makes me sad because I'm just like, y'all, everybody deserves the world. All of y'all deserve the world. And it's so upsetting because many people don't get that. They don't even get a piece because their parents just accidentally had them. You could have nutted in a sock with me and I would have been fine. I wouldn't have been here. It wouldn't have mattered. That's my viewpoint. Anyway, next. So all of those things I discussed before can be greatly mitigated or eliminated completely if people took the responsibility of having kids more seriously. And the rebuttal you often get is, oh, y'all turned out just fine. And I'm just like, did we turn out just fine? I feel like parents think that you turned out just fine if you're not a menace to society. But any other issues that you develop as a result of their parenting or lack thereof is just fine. Hate it. Don't like it. So next I'm going to be talking about the psychology behind people saying, hey, you'll change your mind later. And for me personally, I hate this sentiment because I feel like it invalidates somebody's wants. Like, who are you to say that they're going to change their mind later? Usually it's people who know very little about you or complete strangers that say stuff like this. I have family members that say stuff like this, but it's just like, how do you know? And to me, it reminds me of like everybody's experiences. So listen, you know how like when a little boy come home, you know, let's say he's in second grade or like first grade. Oh, I have a girlfriend, mom, dad, I have a girlfriend. Everybody's like, oh, who your little girlfriend? Who's your little girlfriend? Let him come home and be like, I have a boyfriend. I want a boyfriend. If you want to see all hell break loose, like these people will go ham on him. Oh, you don't know what you want. Da-da-da-da. But how did he know what he wanted if he came home and said, hey, I have a girlfriend, I want a girlfriend? And everybody knows, well, everybody should know by now, that's rooted in homophobia. So I wanted to know what the sentiment of you will eventually, like, you'll change your mind later comes from. And from my research, I'm gonna put it on the screen somewhere and link it in the bio. I read that people still believe that motherhood is like a primitive desire and experience that you're just gonna automatically want someday. There's like this hormone that like it's gonna urge you to change your mind, this, that, and the third. And they just feel like it's a part of being a woman too, like motherhood, which is not. I feel like we are so detached from associating women with associating women just with kids. Like I feel like we're so detached from that, but I can see how that can be in somebody's subconscious, you know? And Tracy Ellis Ross actually talked about this and how like you're spoon-fed this idea of a kid and a husband and stuff like that. She was talking about how she's choosing to wait. Like she wants that, but she has stuff that she wants to do, like, you know what I mean? But even if she was just like, hey, I don't want it, people I feel like would be in an uproar. So science has proven that everyone has baby fever, including men, but there is no hormone or DNA structure that randomly kicks in or is just embedded in us that urges anyone to want to have kids. So that whole notion is completely false. If you don't want kids, if you don't have an experience a life experience that will make you change your mind, you're probably still not going to want to have kids. There's no hormone that's going to randomly kick in when you become 30 urging you to have kids. You also have, you know, everybody knows the biological clock, and, you know, pushes people to have kids and stuff like that. But if you don't want kids, you know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. And the last thing relating to that is that people take it personally. So if you express, hey, I don't want to have kids, they take it personal one of two ways, probably maybe both. First, let's say I'm like, I don't want all those kids. I don't want to spend my money, energy, and time on those kids. Let somebody have all those kids, awesome kids, 3, 4 kids, or even 2 kids, and they have to spend a lot of money, time, and energy on it. Now it's like a personal attack. Like, oh, you're looking down on my life. You know, you're being critical of my life, and it really has nothing to do with them. If that's what you chose to do, then cool. You should be secure in your decision of having kids. Me saying that I don't want your experience, it's not me looking down on you. It's just my perspective. So I feel like people should not take it personally. We're not talking about you. Most of the time you literally start the sentence with I don't want. So you're talking about yourself, yet somehow they didn't relate it to them, but it has nothing to do with you. Another way they take it personally is this way. So people don't often challenge the beliefs and ideas that they were fed throughout their life. So by you voicing an opposing idea to theirs, it forces them to take a critical look into their life and their decision. And a lot of times this causes cognitive dissonance when they realize, hey, my life, my wants does not align with what I have right now. You know, they may sit there by themselves. They're probably not going to do it in front of people and be like, hey, I probably would have preferred only to have 1 kid, or I probably would have preferred not to have no kids, but I just did what everybody else wanted me to do. And it's just like, people don't want to have that cognitive dissonance. I heard that it hurts. Like, it hurts mentally. You know, that's what I read. I don't really know. I don't know if I experienced cognitive dissonance ever in my life, but I heard that it hurts mentally, because you're just like, it's like you're having a 404 error in your head, and people don't really like that. They don't like feeling like, oh my gosh, like, you ever felt like that in the middle of a conversation? You're like, oh, they don't want to feel like that about their life. So usually they'll get loud, they'll get irate, they'll try to, because, you know, it takes the what's it called, the spotlight off of what you're talking about when they get upset, when they get loud. So usually that happens. I've had that happen in a conversation, especially with my family. So those really are the reasons why people are just so triggered by us Generation Z, and like many other people not wanting kids. I just feel like you should do whatever you want. The world is overpopulated, they're expensive. From what I've seen, they're not really that fulfilling. Oh, my last point, I want to say that I also read that people's decision to have kids or not to have kids is greatly based on their experience being around kids. And I definitely feel like that has molded my experience with me not wanting to have kids. Like I said, I've seen several people who had unplanned pregnancies, several people with multiple kids. I was about to say somebody else, like, I don't know, I don't feel like that at the family meeting. I don't feel like that drama, and they're just struggling. You know, they can't do certain things because they have kids, they're stressed. Their kids, to me, aren't being raised properly. They don't have everything I feel like you should have as a kid growing up. And I just don't want that responsibility. And I also don't want to let down my kid if I ever have one. So, you know, that and many other reasons are why I just don't want to have kids. But if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It's just a little talking point, nothing too much. And then drop down below if you want or do not want kids, and tell me why. You can just be like, I don't want kids because I had too many siblings or something like that. I just want to hear other people's experiences as to, like, other people's reasons as to why they don't want to have kids, or if you do want to have kids, I want to hear that too. So yeah, I'm out.